Tsumasho, what a nasty cliffhanger. Episode 5 of Tsumasho, what a nasty cliffhanger. What a bad spot to leave it at. It's like, I knew it was coming. I'm like, we're getting to the end of the episode, aren't we? We're getting to the episode. Why are we going to stop right here? Ugh. I don't know. What is he going to say? What is he going to say to the mother? She is my friend? I mean, what can you say that this girl is to him that is not going to sound extremely questionable? She's my, I don't know, student. I guess there's some things he could do there, but they're all going to be lies in the end. But still, what a nasty spot to leave the episode on. Honestly, skimming across through the manga up to this point, I am at this point really thinking that we might get a full adaptation. We are like 40 chapters in, and there's only 111. And with how much they've been kind of skipping over and repurposing, I think they're probably shooting for a full adaptation at this point, because we're only like 5 episodes in of 12 episodes. And if we're getting to that halfway point of where the manga actually is, this could be a full adaptation. Now, the only concern that I have, because I've been often with my coverage of this series, been stating the fact that I think they're doing a good job of actually adapting this. Yes, they're skipping over a lot of segments, but they're repurposing it in a way that's more kind of constructive. It's a lot more better paced than the manga. The manga, it's kind of all over the place. But there is one big question mark that I have, and based on the fact that I don't actually know where the manga actually goes, again, reading up to where the anime is adapting, I am starting to kind of question how important Moriya is. This is the coworker from his work. She doesn't seem like she's present much in the anime. Like, yes, we got that big moment at the festival, but other than that, it's like, where is this girl at? And yes, a lot of the stuff that they're skipping includes Moriya. So it does make me kind of question how important is Moriya, or is she going to become more of a focus going forward if she is important? Because, like with this episode, with episode 5 of Tsumasho, the whole Christmas celebration, Mai is with her father. In the manga, she's not. Mai goes to hang out with Moriya. Moriya becomes a really close friend of the family. Like, she's hanging out with Mai all the time. She's coming over and hanging out with them all together. She's not really present in the anime, so it kind of makes me wonder if she's even important at all. But yes, one really indifferent thing that has been going on with the anime versus the manga is Mai has been actually looking into the mother for a long time. Mai, at some point, when for one of the skip things they had here was at some point Takae got invited to go to one of the soccer games of Takeru. Takeru is her classmate. This is the boy that really likes her. He's already confessed way back there, which they skipped in the anime. Takeru has confessed to Takae at some point. Says he wants her to be his girlfriend. And so that's why he invites him to go to a soccer game. And he's really popular. Really cool. And then Mai goes there with Takae. And at some point, she actually meets Takeru. And this becomes a thing that later on, when they have this big sports festival, and Takae's mother doesn't show up. I kind of mentioned that in the last video. They have a sports festival. She invites her mother. Mother doesn't come. Instead, her mother goes out on a date with the guy that's from this episode. And the entire time she's on that date, she's thinking about Takae. And during that whole sports festival, Mai ends up overhearing the other parents talk about Takae's mother and how she's not a nice lady. Nobody gets along with her. It brings up a lot of concerns to Mai about what's going on with her mother's mother and how she's being treated and how she's in a family that is possibly abusive to her. And this leads to later on, Mai actually meets up with Takeru after the sports festival, I believe it was, and Takeru asks Mai if she's noticed anything wrong with Takae. Again, Marika. And Takeru ends up telling Mai all the stuff that we learned from the previous episode from the boyfriend of her mother. The idea that, yes, there's a lot of problems in that family. That, yes, this is a single mother, that she divorced her husband, all this kind of stuff, and that this has affected Takae a lot. And yes, Takeru also acknowledged the idea that, Takae has been changing lately. Marika has been changing lately. She's been acting a lot different here recently, which we all know is the point which she got her memories. So, yeah, Mai at some point even confronts Takae. Like, what's the situation with your mother? Like, what's going on with your mother? And then at that point, yes, Takae has to admit that, yeah, my mom is, she neglects me a lot. She's really rough. She's, very loud. She yells at me a lot. But she's never hit me. She's never struck me. She's just mad all the time. She's very depressed. She's going through some hard times. And even right there, Takae is acknowledging she's trying really hard. She's just not doing well. My mother in this new life is not doing well. She's having a very hard time, but she's trying hard. So it's okay. She's not hitting me or anything like that. I'm not a child. And that's really an important thing to kind of acknowledge there. Not that it makes it okay that mom is doing that to a child. For sure. Definitely not. But at least it's highlighting here to Mai, hey, you know who I am. I'm going to be okay. Don't worry for me as your mother from your previous, my previous life. Don't worry for me. If I was any other child, yeah, that's bad and definitely, get involved. But for me, I'm going to be okay because I'm not a child. I am your mother from my previous life. I can handle this kind of thing. So very interesting there, which is, yes, technically in contrast to what they've kind of, stated before, in the idea that she's not able to do much as a child right now because she has that fragility of being a child. Like, she's not strong. She doesn't have any authority. She has no control of the situation because she's no longer her previous self. She's not an adult. She's a child. And so she has no weight. She can't push back on her mother. She has to accept whatever she's dealing with. So interesting stuff there. Like I said, it's a significant change, but at the same time, it doesn't really change anything for the overall story. The idea that Mai was really kind of investigating and trying to find out what's going on with her mother, trying to protect her mother, trying to do whatever she can, looking into her mother and trying to, step in there if she can. But that all leads to, again, episode 5. Let's talk about the episode itself. Wreck me. We're like so far into this video and I haven't even started the actual episode. Really good episode. Really crazy ending, of course. Like I said, we're finally getting the massive reveal that, yes, we're going to have to decide something here. And I'm really kind of curious what direction it's going to go from here. I don't know if they can really kind of get into this now. I don't think they're going to tell her that she's a reincarnation. I really don't think that's the direction it's going to go. But I'm kind of curious. I don't know how they can keep this relationship going at this point without revealing something. Like, what can she tell her mother that will not cause them to never be able to see each other again? Now, granted, thankfully, sort of, not really thankfully, I'm in the same mind as Keisuke. And the idea of, like, it's kind of a relief, but at the same time, it's not. Like, the idea that this whole relationship between her mother and this new boyfriend completely falling apart. Yes, that means that Takae does not have to go somewhere else. But at the same time, it really sucks that this chance that this mother had of rebuilding her life is completely destroyed. It, like, through and through, it really does suck. But again, I kind of question at this point, what can Takae do? There does seem to be a necessity for some sort of stepping in. And I think in the end, what's going to happen is Takae herself is going to, I think she's going to figure out how to sort of change her mother. And I think that really is sort of shown in this episode in the idea that she makes the omelet rice and the mother accepts it and she really likes it. And it seemed like for a minute there, things were going to get better. And even Takae kind of felt it. Like, yeah, despite the fact that this reveal happened and mom went right back down into a dark place, I made this for her. I had to do something, so I made this for her. She rejected me at first, but then the smell probably in the room was like, it smells really good. I'm going to try it. Okay, this is really good. Starts trying up. Even kind of implied that she cleaned the room. Like, in the previous shot, the night before, the room was a mess. And then cut forward the next day, not only was the plate cleaned off, she didn't throw it away, but the entire room was clean. So kind of implied the idea that the mother she probably couldn't sleep after that. And so she probably chose to clean the room. And she was in probably a decently cheery mood that she decided to clean the room. It's a nice little touch there. But yeah, I think that's sort of a sign that she can possibly reach her mother. But how can she? I mean, Takae is very honest in this episode, the idea that I can't speak up. I can't say something. I can't give her words of comfort. She'll probably, lash back at me. It would be an insult to her. My child trying to console me? What is this? No, I'm an adult. I can't be consoled by a child. I would very much so wonder. And I think that's probably what the manga was setting up with Mai. Which makes me kind of wonder at this point. Can Mai be the one that will probably be able to reach out? Can Mai be the one? It's hard, obviously, for Keisuke to reach out. He did in this episode, which is anime only. The anime added some lines where Keisuke is telling her, look, you can't treat your child like that. It might happen in the following chapter, I'm not sure, but at least in that segment leading up to him saying, Takae is my ... In the manga, he's just literally saying, what are you doing to that child? Leave that child alone. Oh, that's your mother. Okay, well, who am I? So it does seem like, at least in the anime adaptation, it does seem like he's trying to correct her a little bit there. But I really think it's going to be Mai. If the manga up until this point has been stressing the idea of Mai looking into her mother's new life, maybe that will be the person that will step in there. Her as, this daughter stepping in there to save her mother. I don't know. I'm really puzzled at this point how they can correct things. I do kind of want it to be Takae, but I acknowledge from her perspective that it's going to be very, very difficult for her to do that. Maybe it just might be changing through just a pure nature, just through positivity. Because, I mean, she does kind of point out, the mother does sort of point it out, whenever you're with me, you're gloomy. Like, she didn't even know it was her at first. Like, when she first spots Takae or Marika with these two individuals that she doesn't even know, she doesn't think it's her. Like, is that my Marika? And, like, she starts following him. That's why she doesn't go to the door. She doesn't even know if that's her daughter. She's just like, okay, she went in that house. And that's why she scopes it out. Again, doesn't approach the house. Even though if she knew it was her daughter, I would think that she would run to that door and say, what the hell are you doing with my daughter? She doesn't know it's her because she's acting so different. And the moment that Takae comes out and goes around the corner, that's when she confronts her. What are you doing? Who are you? Like, why are you acting so different? You're always gloomy when you're with me, and here you're so cheerful. What is going on? It's puzzling to her. This is a completely different child, but it's still my child. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't click in her head. I thought that was a really nice touch, the whole situation, that she's kind of confused as to who this person is. Why are you acting that way? Are you betraying me too? And that's where I think that obviously going to trigger that paranoia, that she's been betrayed so many times that she wanted this perfect family and she got betrayed. And then she got a possibility at a new family with this new guy, and then she got betrayed again. And now my daughter's betraying me. It's like it keeps building. And even a second before as well, when she gets a phone call reminding her how bad her mother is, it just keeps compounding. And now she's seeing, why is she happy with them? She's never happy with me. How dare she? Who is this person? Which is really frustrating, by the way. Yes. Want to strangle the you want to strangle the screen when you see the mother question why her daughter is so gloomy around her. Why are you so gloomy around me? Excuse me? What the It's like, excuse me? Because you treat me like I'm an insect. Because you never want to pay attention to me. Because you don't take care of me. Because you don't talk to me. I'm afraid of talking. You make me afraid of talking. A child in that environment is afraid of talking. Just be in a corner. Don't move. Don't say anything. Otherwise, she might hit me. That's what a daughter's going to be thinking when you're like that. Oh, it's just like, again, I want to empathize with this mom. And I think they're doing a good job of presenting a little bit of empathy there. I think Takae does a great job of empathizing with her mother. And I don't think a lot of children would not be capable of that. And I think that's why it's kind of interesting to have her in that environment. Because I would be heartbroken if anybody was not of mind of an adult sitting in that situation dealing with that. I want to empathize with her. But I can also acknowledge how stupid she is, how nasty she is, and how broken she is. Ugh, I just want to strangle her. Because you abuse her, maybe? I don't know, because you psychologically abuse her by ignoring her? Anyways, I'm all over the place. It's an interesting conundrum. It is honestly interesting. And again, this goes back into what I was talking about. I did a tier list here recently and was getting into the idea of what makes this show so great. It's not the idea of, oh my gosh, it's a guy that's an adult that now has an elementary school student that's his wife. The idea here, what it creates is interesting. Because it's such a questionable setup, it creates so many question marks and presents so many challenges and interesting conundrums that are fascinating. Yes, it is the idea of Takae now being reborn into a new child and, growing up and having no independence. She's a reincarnation that can reconnect with her old family, but she is not independent, thus she has no freedoms to do that. And that lack of freedom will come in and tear them apart. And that's what it's doing right here. But additionally, it creates a conundrum of what does that new person reborn, having the mind of an adult, faced with an abusive mother, what would she do? And that's what we're seeing right here. She's acknowledging, she's able to see what a child would not see and appreciate what a child would not appreciate, but at the same time will be able to deal with that stress that is coming. But at the same time, you're seeing that she's not able to deal with that. She's afraid of her mother. There's several times where it shows that she's afraid of her mother. She can't speak up. Just stay silent. Don't say anything. You see that stress in her face because she acknowledges that I can't do anything. She wants to do something, but she can't do anything. It's very interesting. I mean, even the fact that she's acknowledging that it seems like her mother is remarrying for her sake. Now, yes, she also acknowledges it's probably for her own sake. It's probably a lot of this is selfish. But again, it goes back to what the mother wanted. She wanted that perfect family. not the perfect family. She wanted a happy, normal family. She was hoping for that because her parents were divorced. Her parents were a mess. And she doesn't want that. She wanted a happy family. A family with a husband and a daughter and just be joyous. But yeah, that guy's a dirtbag. I kind of called it. I kind of called it with the previous episode. I was like, there's something off about this guy. Of course, the vibes that I was getting from him when they were in the diner together was like, oh, please don't be a creeper. Like, I was afraid he was going to be a creeper to Takae, and then she was going to have this whole issue of dealing with this guy that was getting handsy, and it's like, okay, at least he's not that kind of a creeper. He's just unfaithful to his actual family. Dude has a whole family. Yeah, that was rough. I don't think the anime covered it, but in the manga, when she confronts the guy in the smoke room, he does mention the idea that he essentially found her at the bento place, and he didn't really intend for it to get serious. Like, he has a family, but just talking with her over time, he just got interested in her. And so it kind of turns into one of those things where he wasn't going out of his way to cheat. It doesn't make it right, by the way. I know it doesn't make it right. You don't have to correct me in the comments. He wasn't going out of his way to cheat. It's just, again, he works at a place nearby, and he goes there for bentos. It's a bento shop. So over time, meeting with her, eventually he got interested in her and started talking to her more, and it happened. So it kind of just, it gets into his excuses, obviously. It's getting into his excuses, that it wasn't something that he planned on doing. It just kind of happened over time. And so he's just throwing this out there. And eventually he's like, oh, crap. Well, please don't ruin my family. Here, I'll pay you anything. He's like offering compensation, which kind of implies that with the anime, because she's looking for legal action. Like, she wants to take legal action on him. I don't know. Like, what legal action is she going to get? Like, what legal action is she going to get? They didn't get married. I don't even think they didn't even get engaged. So what legal action is she going to get? Maybe there's some kind of law in Japan where she could get some sort of compensation for that. I don't know. Maybe just being wronged in some way. A lot of the money that she was spending in order to go places with him, maybe there's some sort of law with that. She could probably just be looking for hush money. I mean, it could be she's looking for legal counseling in order to get hush money in some way. Because she's looking for legal advice. That's the listings are, for legal advice. She could be looking for hush money. She literally just wants to get back at him. Like, she just wants to destroy his life. That's what she's saying, like, end it. Which does getting into, honestly, the more tragic side of this whole situation is that, yes, at some point she even mentions the idea that, should I even exist? And that's where we're already getting into the realm of, like, thankfully, again, Takae stepping in there with the food, and that kind of cheers her up. But she was in a state where she just wanted to end it. She was at the end of it. And again, that makes sense because she had something, it was destroyed. She had a chance at rebuilding it. It was destroyed again. She's giving up at this point. But yeah, the point that got me teary-eyed was obviously her eating the omelet rice. I was like, oh my gosh, please don't. No, getting the tears out of me. No, no. Again, every episode has to have that point where it's going to just completely wreck me. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Again, them being confronted, or at least him confronting her at the very end there. I'm very curious where it goes from here. Again, my assumption is that it's probably going to turn into a thing where he says that, again, as a friend or something like that, I was helping her because she was walking home alone and she got attacked by somebody or something. Make up some, I don't know. I think I'm giving Keisuke too much credit. He probably won't be able to come up with anything really good. I mean, he's doing good so far, talking to her. Like, she's, again, at least in the anime, she's scolding her. Like, you don't treat your child like that. Like, you don't, if you're wanting to correct her, I have a child. If you want to correct her, that's not the proper way of doing it. Like, he's trying to push upon her how he has learned to treat his own child with Mai. And the idea that when you're trying to scold your child, you listen to them. You're not trying to understand. You're obviously not acknowledging there's a reason why she can't tell you what's going on. You're just pushing upon her your own frustration. Makes perfect sense. Again, that's why she's lashing out at Takae. That's why she's grabbing her arms and slamming her against that fence. Again, it's easy to kind of stomach because I acknowledge that this is an adult in that body. But again, keeping in mind this is a child that she is grabbing, her child, her 10-year-old child, and slamming it against this fence and just not listening to her and just shaking her. You could see that she is herself frustrated. She's at the end of her wits, and she's lashing out at Takae because of it. So it's cool that he's kind of stepping in there and making that observation, and it's, again, a rare Keisuke W, but it's like, where from here? I don't think that he's going to have the proper words to fix the situation, which I think it's probably, again, based on what they've built up so far with Mai, I think Mai is going to have to fix the situation. I really do, because again, I think it's been building in the manga at least that Mai knows the situation and she's trying to help her mother. So I think she's, if anybody, is probably going to be the one to confront the mother. How this issue right here is going to get resolved, I don't know. I'm very curious at this point, but we'll see. We'll see. But that's my thoughts on episode 5. Again, very long video because it's mostly me talking about the manga and how it's kind of built up things up to this point as comparison. But I hope you guys found it informative. Hope you guys liked my video anyways. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know about the episode. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. Until next time, you'll take care.